So you had the bachelor in graphic design in illustration art. So you start networking with the intent of, I'm going to be a designer. I'm going to work with these people to do design, animation, whatever. And
I ultimately wanted to be an animator for Disney and Pixar. Like that was my dream since I was 10. Like, I'm going to do this when I grow up. And it didn't work out.
But you're hearing conversations and you're hearing what the needs of people are. And they're saying, hey, what is this Facebook thing? So you're like, hey, there's something here. And so I could kind of, I think that speaks to a lot of people. It's like they have their idea of what they want to do. I'm a graphic designer, so I want to do graphic design. Okay, but what are the people that you're around asking for? Like, what is the actual felt and perceived need? And so you were able to pivot, like, hey, I want to be an animator, but this is what people are asking. I have the ability and expertise, or the ability to grow expertise here. And so you kind of heard what the need was and was able to pivot. And then as you did that, you refined your market even narrower to people that had similar situations as you, because you're like, I could really speak to this need for this group of people. From the perspective of your clients, they come to you because they have a felt perceived need. They say, Desiree, I need help because of this pain point. What is the pain point that they're coming to you for?
They feel that they need to do social media. They're not doing it well, or they don't have time to do it.
Okay. So we know there's a social media thing out there. We're not doing it well. We need help. And how do you, is your conversation like, okay, I'll do that for you? Or like, what do you sell them on? Like, what is your sales call like?
Well, we just talk about their business. Our sales calls are actually very similar to like this. Like we just talk, hey, tell me about your business. What do you do? Like, what is it that, okay, what are your goals? Like, what do you want to accomplish? Okay, what is it that you're struggling with? Like, how can we help you? What are you struggling with? And like, okay, based on what you've said, this is how I can help you. And for some of the pain points are sometimes they're not things that we can do. It's like, you have said you need this help, and I have this resource that can help you get this done. Like, I don't do advertising, but I have partners that do advertising. I don't do product photography. I have partners that do. I don't do full on cinematography for people to record their YouTube videos for them, but I have people that do. So I can guide them through the process of like what they need to do to get what they need to do. Like whether you're like how you can record in your home studio, like instead of like what I have like this, like what you have, or, and I talk about that even in the masterclass, setting up a recording station, right? But there's also like just different ways to help them get to the needs that they have. We offer like a remote CMO services. Like, okay, you're trying to build this thing up and like, here's what you need to do to get to these points. Like, I'm not going to do them for you. I'm going to tell you what you need to do. And then here's your homework for the next month. And then they have contact with me. We have that kind of offering and service. If they need web design, like we have the resources to help them with things that they need. And I tell them like, you need to do these things in order for us to be effective for you. And that's really how that relationship works. Like social media is the bottom part of the funnel. Like, and I know that now, and I'm aware of that. Like, so they need to have these other things in place in order for us to be effective for them. Will we post for them if they're not having those things in place? Yeah, but I make sure that they know that, like, yeah, we'll do this. But if you don't have these things, like, you can expect these kinds of results. And sometimes we're like, we just need to have a presence. Like, that's kind of the box we're trying to check. I'm like, okay, let's check the box for you.
Social media platforms and user behavior dictates how you have to adapt your packages. And so you have to have your thumb not only, because I think a lot of times as creatives and specifically creative entrepreneurs, we get so bogged down in the process of what we're doing right now. We have our package. It took us a long time to come up with it. We've refined our process and now we're just doing that. But then we also have to have a thumb on like, oh, how did they just update the platform and how are users changing their behavior? It's like, oh crap, now we have to start all over.
Advertising is its own full-time job. I think it's insane for like when you have someone or a company that does creative and advertising, you need to ask them. You have separate people for these things, right? Because if one person's trying to do that, they're going to do it badly. It is literally two entirely separate sides of the brain to do creative and advertising, making the ads work the way they're supposed to on the back end of your ad managers for Google, for Facebook, for TikTok, for Instagram. Like it's a whole beast.
So you're just focusing on the creative, creating the content rather than like, hey, we're not going to set up the funnel and manage the ads and do the whole redirects and all that kind of stuff.
Absolutely not.
And so when we look back, it's not like, hey, as we're going through it, oh, we had this like well thought out plan. You're just kind of responding to the needs at hand. And then retrospectively, you look back and you're like, what happened? And there was like, oh, that's actually a pretty good strategy and plan that was followed that I didn't, it just kind of comes intuitively. And I think that's a big part of it, is just kind of follow your intuition, follow the need, be a good person, and see needs that are out there and your ability to fulfill them, and you just figure it out. I love the title of your book, by the way. I didn't know you had a book, Start, Suck, and Get Better. So like, just get started and be okay like to suck, and you'll figure it out and get better as you go. I feel like I just read the whole book.
There's nothing in life that you will do where you're going to start it and you're going to be like glowingly amazing at it. Like, there are some freaks out there, but they eventually hit a suck point.
Yeah.
Where they're like, okay, why does this suck? Why do I suck? How does this suck work? How do I get through this suck? You know, in military, we have a saying called embrace the suck. And that's like, and it's just one of those things that we, you know, kind of do.
When did you start honing in on like, I'm going to start talking about YouTube and really being like the thought leader, influencer in that?
There's not a lot of women that talk about YouTube very specifically. And usually those that do, they talk about it from a different perspective. The guys that are in it are very YouTube growth focused. I'm a money first creator. Like, that's how I'm focused on it. I'm not looking for growth. I'm looking for leads. I'm looking for my email list growth. I'm looking for sponsorship opportunities. I'm looking for ways to make money with my time. And it's sort of like by creating content, I'm able to make money passively from putting in that continuous work in my YouTube channel. Since that's what I teach other business owners how to do. You can use YouTube not to become a YouTuber, but you can use YouTube as a way to get leads to your business so that you can grow your business in a way that you didn't before. And then using YouTube as the pillar of your marketing, and then it just kind of trickles down. And that's like how I teach it.
So I want to get into process, but before we get there, I want to talk about pricing, because I feel like that's insane to charge $3.99 a month. Like, that's, I don't know how I could make profit doing that. And so you're doing it. It sounds like you're doing good, and you have a team, and you know, I'm always encourage people like, charge more money because you're not charging enough. And I think a lot of creatives like put themselves in a position to where they're not charging enough, but you've systematized it enough to where you could charge $2.99 a month and not get bogged down in the process to where you're like in revision cycle hell, I'm assuming. But then also it's profitable, and you're simultaneously able to adapt it quick. Like, how are you doing that? How did you come up with your pricing? Is that profitable for you? I'm making an assumption.
I would never do something that is not profitable, first and foremost. Number two, we are able to really minimize overhead because everyone works from home. We have our tools in place that work for us the way they're supposed to. So like right now, the current system we have in place for posting content is that you can schedule TikTok videos through the desktop app. And we use a tool called Restream.io to trigger. So what happens is when you post a TikTok, what Restream will do is download the TikTok on watermark, and then we'll repost it for you, repurpose it to the platforms you tell it to go to. So Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, Pinterest pins, like that kind of thing. So you set up the system so it does it the way you want it to. So it's initial setup, and then it executes on itself. So we're able to systemize it. And we weren't able to offer this packaging until Instagram and TikTok opened up their API to allow tools to do this. That being said, though, we keep our costs low and we keep our needs lean. So it's not a whole thing. Like, I'm not posting 7 reels a week for these people. It's like 3. You get 3 reels a week. And if you're not going to provide us with the video content, nothing's getting posted. So it's very much just like interactive partnership to do it. I have this saying, I like to say, like, if you want something done right, quick, and cheap, hire a military spouse, because that's how we live our life, because we have shoestring budgets and limited time to take care of things, and things just drop in our lap all the time, and we adapt and adjust very quickly. So we have that piece of it. And we're also not managing hundreds of accounts. Like, that's not like how we could if we had the team in place and the need. But, you know, a lot of what we're doing is, you know, managing 20 to 30 accounts. And when your overhead is pretty consistent and all of your team is paid a flat rate, like, we don't pay hourly salaries to our team. It's contractors. They're contractors, and they're paid a flat rate because we know exactly the amount of work they're doing. Like, this is how many hours this project takes. So this is what you get paid for it. So it's like flat costs across the board for things. So that's how we've systemized it and simplified it. And a lot of our costs just don't change either way. So it just makes it easier for us. Like, we have the software, the team, and our project management tool that we use. And now we have a project manager that oversees everything, so that like I close them and then I hand them off to the team, and the team takes care of the work to make sure that it gets done. So I'm not managing 30 accounts. The team is managing the 30 accounts.
Is that like the one package? Are you focused on like one package at a time? Like, this is what we're doing and we'll evolve that? Or are you like adding different levels, or like how are you staying on top?
We have add-ons. Yeah. Like, well, yeah, I want this, but I also want this. Like, okay, well, this is the additional fee. Like, I have clients that are $2,000 a month packages, and we're doing YouTube and repurposing, and they're also doing the vertical videos, and we're doing email marketing for them. Like, it's a full package, right? Like, that's what they need to be done effectively, because they don't want to do it. Like, more of those, like more people that don't want to do it, more people that just want to farm it out and make sure it gets done.